evening. Welcome to Monday's guided meditation session at Vajrayana Institute. I'm Wai Cheong. We'll be doing our usual two meditations, and the first one will be on calm abiding. So this is this style of meditation. These days, I recommend people start with this kind of meditation, because we'll find that it's very helpful, especially for our modern, very stressful, busy lifestyle. It's good to take the time to help body and mind to calm down, to settle down, to release. So what we are calming is releasing the various different disturbances within be it physically or mentally. The disturbances are our reactions, our reactivities to what is happening in our life. And so it's really good to take the time to create the conditions that allow our body to unwind, to sort of undo some of those physical reactivity, and also allow the mind to have the chance to put aside the worries or the concerns or the agitations and anxiety. So just by doing that, you will find that you contribute greatly to our happiness, to our well-being, physical, mental, emotional well-being. Today I thought we can make use of the breath sensations as a support in our calm abiding meditation. The breath is my first object of meditation long time ago when I first started to practice meditation. It has remained my favorite in between this more than 30 years. Yeah, more than 30 years. There are a couple of years in between I abandoned this object of meditation because I listened to other people, and other people say, "Oh, it's such a simple object. You ought to advance to more profound ones." So I followed that. Then later I realized that actually the breath, though simple, is actually very profound. And so I make my way back to using the breath sensation as an object of meditation, as a support. Of course, it's not necessarily suitable for everybody, but for those of us who have no objection using the breath, then we can explore a little bit this particular object of meditation. The trick about using the breath is that it has a certain natural characteristics. Breath by nature is very neutral, so to speak. Neutral is probably not the right word, but it's not terribly exciting. It doesn't change. I mean, it does change, but it doesn't change much. Hopefully not. Yeah. And so it's a very soothing object to work with. It has a natural calming effect, simply because it's just that natural rhythm of flowing in and flowing out. Yeah. And in particular, when I make use of the breath as a support, I make use of the out breath, the natural out breath. By that I mean I'm just allowing the body to breathe itself. I'm not controlling the breath in any way. But each time when I notice an out breath, breathing out, I like to make use of that as an opportunity to facilitate release. And all I'm doing is just to remind myself, with a word, I would say my magic word in my mind, release. And I'm just saying it to myself, almost like reminding my own system, my own body, my own mind, that, hey, now it's a good chance, good opportunity to release anything that you don't need, you don't want, it's unhelpful, unnecessary. Hey, just let it go with the breath. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm simply reminding them that there's an opportunity. This opens up each time when I breathe out. Yeah. So that is one way I make use of the breath. The other thing that I do with the breath is I used to start off long time ago. The instruction is to focus on the nostrils. There are other techniques that require us to focus on the abdomen. And these days, I sort of go against those kind of instructions. I just leave it open. I allow to notice breath sensations at different parts of the body, and the focus can shift from one place to another. Because at different time during the meditation sessions, different sensations of the breath at the different parts of the body can become prominent. So I just allow my attention to go there, naturally. And also by not constraining my attention and demanding my attention stay at a particular spot in the body, I'm also reinforcing a different kind of attitude, an attitude which is allowing the mind to be more open, more spacious, more receptive, as opposed to be to narrowing down, this idea of narrowing down and strictly focusing on one particular spot. I'm encouraging a more open focus, you might say, more a spacious way of being aware of what is actually happening. So that not only do I notice the breath sensations, and in fact, as I settle deeper into the meditation, I notice more and more breath sensations. Usually we start off with the obvious, the larger movement, the more prominent sensations, and ended up with noticing how the more subtler one. In fact, breath sensation can be experienced at many parts of the body, especially when we settle down, we calm down, because the movement of the chest, the diaphragm, that movement propagates through different parts of the body. And also, by leaving the focus open and spacious, I make use of the breath, the support of the breath, to allow me to get to know myself better, get to know the state of my body, the state of my mind, get to know and be acquainted with the different kind of feelings arising. Feelings refer to pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations, or neutral sensations. And whenever I notice a pleasant sensation arise, as a part of my meditation, I would invite that pleasant feelings to come into awareness. So that alongside the breath, I also notice something pleasant, comforting, comfortable, a sense of softening, a sense of ease and relaxation. And by having both the breath and the pleasant sensations as part of my, as an object of my awareness, it goes a long way to calm the body, and even more important, it helps to calm the mind. The mind actually start to let go of its agitation. Why? Because there's something really nice is happening here in the meditation, something very comfortable, very sort of enticing. And you'll find that once we're able to do that, our attention is more likely than not will be coming back into the meditation, coming back to the breath, coming back here and now to enjoy the meditation. Right? So keep some of those points in mind if you can, and let's explore calm abiding meditation using breath as a support. So I'll guide you, and feel free to ignore me if what I'm saying isn't helpful. So take a few moments and adjust your body, find a suitable meditation posture for yourself. So posture, this meditation posture could be one of sitting upright on the chair, sitting on the floor, cross-legged on a cushion. You can also, in the privacy of your own place, lie down, lie on your back in a supine position. Just make sure that the posture you adopt feels stable and comfortable to your body, to yourself. Rest your hands and arms on some kind of physical support. This will help to relieve any need to tense up your shoulder muscles or arm muscles. As for the eyes, I suggest people you can just close them completely, or if you are used to meditating with eyes open, then that is also perfectly fine. One reason to start by drawing attention to the posture is to try to see if we can reassure our body that it is now well supported in this meditation posture. Let the posture provide a sense of balance and safety to the body. And we're trying to reassure the body so much so that it will be willing to loosen up, to unwind, to let go of some of those tightenings and contractions, tensions that are more likely than not our reactions to the stress in our daily life. And now that we are meditating, it's not necessary for our body to hold on to those tensions, to those stress. So we would like to persuade the body to unwind, to at least release some of those tensions and tightness, so that it can really settle down comfortably into the meditation posture. Next, I invite you to let into your awareness, to the space of your awareness, the different sensations associated with breathing. Breath sensations can be detected at many different parts of the body. And see if you can notice, allow yourself to notice and experience your natural in-breath and out-breath. So attending to the breath sensations, allowing those sensations associated with the in-breath and the out-breath to come into our awareness. Simply allow our body to breathe itself during the meditation. There's really no need for us to deliberately or consciously trying to adjust the breath. See if you can just allow the body to breathe itself. And we rest our attention on the changing sensations of the breath. In particular, see if we can give special attention to the natural out-breath. Breathing out, we can tune into a subtle sense of relaxation that comes along with it. As the muscles of our diaphragm and the muscles of our chest relax in order for the air to flow out of our body. And we can make use of this movement of release. If you like, each time you notice an out-breath, silently in our own mind, we can say the magic word, release. A reminder to our own body, as well as our mind, that they can release. Breathing out, maybe some of the unnecessary contractions and tensions in the body, some of those thoughts or images, memories or fantasies preoccupying our mind, they can be released and flow away with the breath. Coming back to the breath sensations, and we may have to invite our attention to reconnect with the breath sensations again and again throughout the meditation. And this is perfectly normal. And this is precisely a major part of our practice of meditation, coming back to reconnect with the breath. Reconnecting with the breath, maybe some of us might notice breath sensations around the nostrils as we breathe in and out. See if we can notice alongside those sensations at the nostrils or upper lip. Also notice other sensations at our own face. Are we tensing up the muscles of our face as we continue with the meditation? Some of us might unconsciously tense up the muscles of our forehead, or the muscles around the jaw, muscles around the eyes. If we do notice tension here at the face, see if we can, as we breathe out, as we gently say the word release in our mind, we can persuade our own face to release some of those tension and tightness. They are not needed anyway. And allow our whole face to soften, to relax, to feel more comfortable. Coming back to the breath sensations, we may notice breath sensations at the throat or the back of the mouth, subtle sensations in this part of our body. And see if we can, as I suggested earlier on, notice other bodily sensations at this part of the body. Sensations at the neck, sensations at the shoulders. Breathing out. And then remind our own body and mind that they can release. Coming back here and now, reconnect with the breath sensations in our own body. We may notice breath sensations around the chest, maybe in the form of a movement of expansion and contraction of the chest. If we pay careful attention, we may notice that movement of the breath can be felt not only in the chest, maybe at the shoulders, even down the arms. You may sense the movement, the breath sensations at the front of the body and also at the back of the body. As always, as we detect more and more subtle sensations with breath, we can always make use of the out breath as an opportunity to persuade the body and the mind to deepen the sense of release. Not to worry what they are actually releasing, simply remind them to release, to let go, to allow anything that is unhelpful or unnecessary to flow away with the breath. Reconnecting with the breath sensations, we may also notice the breath sensations at the area of the abdomen, most probably in the form of a movement of rising and falling of the abdomen, of the belly. And once again, if we do pay close attention to this area, we can sense other subtle sensations related to the breath. And maybe we can even sense breath sensations all the way down to the pelvic region, to the pelvic floor. And notice that rhythmic movement or expansion and contraction in this area. Coming back, reconnecting with the breath sensations throughout our body, allowing ourselves to experience the in-breath and the out-breath, and reminding ourselves to release as we breathe out. See if we can strengthen and deepen the connection between our attention and the breath sensations. And welcome the breath sensations throughout the body to appear, to come into awareness. And alongside the breath, also let into our awareness other bodily sensations, the different parts of the body. And also let into our awareness different feelings of discomfort, tightness, even pain in certain parts of our body. And also the opposite, any sense of relaxation, of loosening up, of ease, of comfort. We acknowledge the uncomfortable feelings, but see if we can place the emphasis on enjoying any pleasant sensations that come out of our meditation. Welcome them into awareness, attend to them, enjoy them while they're here, and letting them go when they fade away. Coming back to the breath sensations, if we notice that our attention is drawn elsewhere, most probably to the different thoughts, memories, some inner conversation or commentary. So this is quite a normal thing to happen to us. When we notice it, simply invite our attention to reconnect with the breath sensations. Or we can think of it as inviting the breath sensations to once again come fully into our awareness. See if we can strengthen this connection between awareness, attention, and the breath sensations, so that more and more we are engaging fully with the ever-changing sensations of the breath. Breathing in, breathing out, and deepening the sense of release. So that is using the breath sensation as a support for calm abiding meditation. There are other ways of using the breath sensations. I have this other meditation called touch and release, synchronized with the breath. And there's also using the breath as a support. And you might find that that method, those of you who are familiar with it, sometimes can produce quite a pronounced, profound effect on the body itself, or also on the mind. The second meditation, I have been following sort of a sequence of introducing the different aspects of mindfulness. In this second meditation, used based on this formulation called RAIN, R-A-I-N, recognition, acknowledgement, inquiry, and nurturing. So previously we have touched on the recognizing, the recognition, and the acknowledgement aspect of mindfulness. When we apply mindful attention, or when we bring things into our mindful awareness, one of the useful skill, one aspect of mindfulness is to allow us to recognize what is happening. We can recognize painful sensations as painful sensations. We can recognize tension as tension. We can recognize thoughts as thoughts. And also to acknowledge. Acknowledge is not so much about, some people use the word accept or allow. I prefer the word acknowledge. Acknowledge is simply to see a fact as the fact, to be in touch with the factual aspect of our experience. Say, all right, so I acknowledge that the shoulders feels very tight and painful today, both shoulders. And that's it. That's all we are doing. We are letting into our awareness the basic facts of the reality of this moment. We're not going to embarrass it. We're not going to deny it. We're not going to run away from it. We're not going to simply resist it. We're going to let it come into our awareness, mindful awareness, and just acknowledge what is here. It doesn't always have to be here, but at least in this moment, this is the reality of this moment. Yeah. And today we can look at inquiry, to inquire, using which is another aspect of our mindful attention, mindful awareness, which is really to, in terms of mindfulness, it's not so much entering into a long conversations or reflection or analysis, but to pay closer attention. So for example, I might have a lot of tightness and discomfort in my shoulders. And to inquire is after I recognize it for what it is, I acknowledge its presence, I might be curious and say, oh, I wonder what is going on here. So with my attention, with my mindful attention, I simply allowed the details of these sensations to come into awareness. I'm simply noticing more details, greater details, paying closer attention to what is happening here and now. That's true for physical sensations or painful sensations. That's also true with what is going on in our mind. I like to give an analogy, and then we can do this meditation. It's a bit like filming. I could be filming. That means with a camera, like what? Now I'm sitting in front of a webcam. So, of course, the camera is directed at certain things. So there is our attention. Our attention is channeled, focused towards certain things that is happening. And quite often our reactions, our reactivity, hijack our attention and draw our attention into a particular loop, a particular kind of storyline, and it will keep our attention there. So we find ourselves following a very familiar way of reacting, thinking, feeling. To inquire is a bit like sending out a drone, and to look at the current situation from a different angle, a different perspective. You let the drone go and it sort of start to take a footage from a different angle, from a more elevated angle, and you get to see, if you can see it live, and you get to see, things look, of course, different from a different point of view, different angle. You might ask yourself, why am I so preoccupied with this particular thing that has happened in the past? Or why am I getting so worked up over an imaginary situation that may never come true? So that, and if you think about it this way, if you put more energy of attention into the drone, the angle of the drone, then less of that energy will be available here, down on the ground where you are, wherever you are focusing on. So by channeling more energy or attention into mindfulness inquiring into what is happening now, less of that energy will be available to be caught up in the loop of reactivity. And that is how inquiry sometimes not only allow us to see clearer what is happening, but also take the energy or attention out of our habituated reactions, rechannel the energy of our attention elsewhere. And that eventually sometimes might lead to the collapse of this reaction, this reactivity. Not enough energy to sustain it, and it sort of fall apart. So let's do another meditation using the breath again as a support. But now and then I invite you to inquire into what is happening in your experience. You can ask yourself, what is happening here? What is happening in my body in this moment? What is happening in my mind in this moment? What is the kind of feeling that is unfolding or that is dominant in this moment? By inquiring and paying closer attention, we see whether that makes a difference to our meditative experience. Yeah. So let's settle ourselves back into the meditation posture. So just as before, we take a few moments at the beginning of the meditation, allow the body to adjust, to find its way into our meditation posture. Allow the body to get used to this posture, to become comfortable in this posture. And we start by connecting our awareness, our attention with the natural sensations of the breath itself, allowing ourselves to fully experience the in-breath and the out-breath. Attending to the breath or allowing the breath sensations to come fully into awareness as we notice the in-breath and the out-breath. Just as before, we give special attention to the natural out-breath, making use of it as an opportunity to deepen the sense of release, helping the body to unwind, to untie, to loosen up, in its own time to let go of any unnecessary tensions and tightenings so that the body can gradually settle down and become more and more comfortable in this meditation posture. And a good place to begin and to facilitate this process of unwinding is actually with our face. We do have unconscious habits of tensing up the facial muscles, that is, some of us do. Now is a good time, along with breath, to tune in and notice the sensations at our own face. And as we breathe out, see if we can remind our body, remind ourselves that we can release. We can release any of those unnecessary tension and contraction at the face, and allow the whole face to become softer, more at ease, more comfortable, and more relaxed. Coming back to the breath sensations, we do not need to be frustrated or upset when we notice our attention is drawn away from the breath. We can regard that as a very natural thing. It's natural for the mind to wander off. It's natural for the mind to be preoccupied with different activities. And all we need to do when we notice that is to invite our attention to come back to the breath, or to invite the breath sensations to come fully into our awareness. And we can, alongside the breath sensations, inquire, check in to see how the body is doing, how the body is feeling today. Checking and notice, are there any parts of the body where we can sense strong sensations? Quite often unpleasant sensations, area of tightness and tension. We can allow that to come into awareness alongside the breath. And as we tune in, inquire, and pay closer attention to bodily sensations alongside the breath, we can also, on the out breath, remind the body with the simple word release. That the body can, in its own time, release and put aside some of these areas of tensions and discomfort. So coming back here and now, reconnecting with the breath sensations within our body, we can also inquire alongside the breath how our mind is doing here and now. Notice what is affecting the experience within our own mind. Are we feeling a bit sleepy, drowsy? The mind is sort of shutting down, becoming dull, becoming dark. Or maybe we notice alongside the breath how busy the mind is. Lots of thoughts, words, images. Or some of us may notice that the mind is relatively calm, still, present, happy to be with the breath sensations. So without getting upset or frustrated with what we find, within the mind itself, see if we can come back to the breath sensations, reconnect with the out breath, and as we breathe out, remind ourselves to release. That the mind in its own time can put aside the sleepiness, the drowsiness, or the agitation. All we need to do is to be patient with it, and again, simply return the attention here and now, reconnecting with the breath. Coming back here and now, reconnecting with the breath sensations, inquiring into what is happening in our own body, in our own mind, in our own experience from one moment to another. The better we are, the closer we are able to pay attention, to notice what is happening, what is affecting our body and mind, then we are in a better position to work with what we find here to bring about positive changes. So see if you can return the attention to the breath, and alongside the breath, expand the scope of awareness. And just check in and notice the states of our own body and mind. And as we become aware of what's happening here and now, see if we can highlight to ourselves anything positive, anything pleasant or helpful among the different things we notice, we're aware of. Highlight the positive aspects to form a positive association with our own meditation. Highlight the subtle, pleasant feeling of relaxation that we may find, for example, in the face. Highlight the relative stillness within the mind, if that's what is happening here and now. Highlights the greater awareness, how much more in touch we are with the feelings and sensations in the body, even if they come across as unpleasant or tight. So coming back to the breath, the last few minutes of this meditation, see if we can make use of the breath as a support, inviting our attention to come back to it again and again, and allow ourselves to inquire with mindful attention, just to get to know ourselves better, learn new things about ourselves, the different experiences possible in our meditation. Okay, so there is testing out the inquiring aspects of mindfulness with the help of simple guiding questions, like asking ourselves, and then what's happening with the body, what's happening in our mind, taking a different look, different perspective of the whatever experiences we're having in this moment. So before I go, just one last one announcement. Last week I did announce that we are trying out this idea of using a single link for my YouTube videos. Clearly that didn't work. We're back to scheduling the different classes on YouTube. So since you guys found your way here, clearly you know how that works. So just to let you know that we are back to the old system of scheduling the classes. Yeah. So thank you very much for your attention, and hope you have a good week ahead, and I will see you next week. All right. Take care.